Hey everyone, it's Kino here. This class is all about the Marichasanas. Now this is really the meat of the uphill battle of the primary series. We're building up into the great gateway pose known as Marichasana D. 4 Marichasana poses set you up for a deep dive into the inner body. We begin with the easier ones, which are forward bends, and then move into twists. Let's go ahead and get started. When you're going through the practice at this phase, you'll be kind of moving through more continuity, building greater endurance and stamina, greater strength and flexibility. Your practice will also get longer. As the practice gets longer, you'll find that it's harder to maintain consistency, but this is the time to really dive down into your yoga journey and make the time and space for the practice. So here we go, we'll get started. Stretch your legs out forward. Now, if you feel that you need a little bit of warm-up, remember it's always fun to do a few sun salutations to warm up before you begin to move into any of these tutorials. Starting off with Marichasana A, bend the right knee into the body, hold it in. Then reach down, place a hand in between your right foot and your left thigh, leaving a hand's distance between. Start off with your sitting bones on the ground and then slowly lean forward, increasing a flexion in your ankle and picking your right sitting bone a little bit off the ground. Left hand reaches towards the ground, pull the right knee towards the right armpit, freeing your sternum and your chest. Then you feel like your chest glides down, moving itself away from the thigh. So chest reaches away from the thigh, pulling the thigh gently back as the shoulder moves forward. As your shoulder moves forward, 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 sucking the belly in, draw the knee into the armpit, reach the arm back, then slowly reach around, dropping the armpit all the way around your right shin. Then again, inhale, reach back, clasping your fingers into each other. Just go for the fingers in the beginning, letting a nice deep grip around the fingers be lightly established. Then, sucking the belly in, start to move your hip back, but do not put your hip on the ground. Instead, lean forward so your sternum glides towards your left knee. Then allow yourself to work 2 different directions in the body. Your hip joint moves back while your chest moves forward. Think about separating your torso from your thigh. This is one of the most important preparatory poses for Supta Kurmasana, the biggest gateway of the whole primary series. Slowly come on up, allowing yourself to release the bind and back to the center. So what are some pitfalls that can happen in Marichasana A? Well, you might not be able to bind the hands. So then you could grab a strap, and if you grab your strap, get it so that it's almost like a lasso. When you reach it around, you could toss it around, getting it in position, hold on to the strap behind your back. If you hold the strap, the same rules apply. Your sternum moves forward while your hip moves back and down. Walk your fingers forward until you can clasp them. The second thing that can happen is that maybe you can hold on to your arms, but your bind is really high. Then when you fold forward, it feels like you topple over to the side. So the key is to get your shoulder down low enough so that you can find the arms. Don't ever fight for binding the wrist, but if it happens, let it happen. Slowly release the hands, come on back up, and stabilize back towards the center. Let's go for the other side. Always starting off in Dandasana, draw the knee into the chest and then check your distance. Place the hand between your left foot and your right thigh, stabilize your right leg, then lift the sternum up, start picking up the torso, moving it away from your leg. Lift your left sitting bone off the ground, right hand forward. Pull the hip back a little bit and separate your torso from your thigh. Draw the belly in, left hand reaches forward, 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 create the space. Every pose in the yoga practice works like this. First you create the space, then you move yourself into the space that you create. Draw the knee in towards the armpit. Armpit spirals around the shin, then slowly reach the hands together. Nice, easy bind. If you need to reach back for the strap, go ahead and grab that, holding on, guiding in. If you can easily hold, you may be able to hold on to your wrist, but again, no fight, no stress. Again, inhale. Exhale, internally rotate the shoulders as you reach the sternum down to your right knee. Stabilize your right leg and roll it in just a little bit as the belly sucks in. The more that you fold forward, the more you have to counterbalance that by pulling your hip back. Hold it for a moment, keep the belly sucked in, orient yourself towards the center line, and then slowly inhale, come on up. Settle the sitting bone down, release your hands, and pull it in. Marichasana A is the first and the easiest of the Marichasana series. Come on back up, cross your feet, and nice, easy step back. You know what's coming. Inhale, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, easy downward facing. Step forward with your right foot and your left foot and all the way through. Stretch out the legs in front, settle the hips down. It's important even in the tutorials to do a light vinyasa, at least between the poses, to keep the structural integrity of your body and release your back muscles. We'll begin with Marichasana B. We've got 2 different versions of this that we'll be going over. Bend the right knee into the body, dropping it out to the side. We're building up to the half lotus. Drop the knee to the side and bring the heel in. Guide yourself all the way up and in. Hold the shin bone and hold the foot and bring it in, all the way in, and orient your sternum forward. Now, if your knee feels a little uncomfortable or you feel like, I'm not really so sure about this, then you want to back off immediately, all right? And the modification that you would do is you bend the knee up, place the foot underneath so that your foot rests under your thigh and your leg stretches forward. I like to call this pose the lotus bud. Rather than the complete lotus flower, we have the lotus bud, as though you're dropping your foot underneath, and just like a beautiful flower, every flower has its stage. Let's start off building off the lotus bud version of the pose. Bring the heel up into the foot, and then pick your sitting bones slightly off of the ground, not completely off of the ground, just like they float a little bit forward. That allows you to rise up through the center line, hug the knee into the chest for a moment, and then allow your knee to align with the left armpit. Right hand out to the side, left hand forward. Start to go forward, forward, forward. Guide your chest down towards the ground, and after you get close to the ground, drop the knee in. Spiral the shin bone into the left armpit and guide your hands around. If you need the strap, go ahead and grab the strap, get it in position, reach around, hold on to the strap. Roll the shoulders forward. Then, if you can release the strap, grab hold of your fingers or your wrists, no stress. Again, inhale and exhale, fold. Avoid folding forward too much. Keep a sense of slight groundedness in the pelvis, even though the left hip joint is elevated. Suck the belly deeply in, and then inhale, come on up, release the shoulders, stretch out the left leg, and let's look at the full version of the pose. Knee out to the side and heel into the body, starting off in the half lotus. Hold underneath the left knee, pull it all the way in. So if you feel comfortable with the modification, but this is as far as you get for the full pose, I'd recommend you actually do both versions. So if you're practicing along with me, you can always pause the video and just repeat it twice. So now if you've got your half lotus, how are you going to get that knee on the ground? Now, if you're flexible enough, you can go right forward and get the knee on the ground. So you can try that. Pick your hips up, going into the flexion of your left hip and the flexion of the left ankle. But if when you start to go forward, your knee feels a little tweaked, there's a little trick you can do. Take your right hand on the ground, lean over to the side. Planting the knee on the ground will protect it. Then lean a little over. Use your right arm and then crawl. Crawl on the ground until you reach back to the center. Lift the belly up and in, and then orient yourself forward. Again, shoulder reaches in front, taking the hand behind, reaching the hands together. Inhale, prepare as you suck the belly in, and exhale, fold through the center line. First, you can aim your forehead down to the ground, then your nose. After the nose, then the chin. Pull the shoulders back as you internally rotate them to let the neck be free. You may be noticing pressure in your right ankle. No problem. Do this every day for 3 months to a year, and it'll get better. Draw the belly in, slowly lift the chest, slowly release the hands, come all the way out. Now, if you've got the lotus, I recommend you go back to your sitting bones, straighten the leg, remove the lotus, all the way in, and back to the center. And that's a lot of work, okay? So, check in step by step. Never force the knee, never force the body. Let's do the other side. Okay. Starting off with the easy modification, left knee into the body, drop it out to the side. Bend the right, pick it up, pull it under. Okay, right heel aligns with the instep of the left foot, then lift the sitting bones slightly, not so much, just slightly. Left hand on the ground, move the sternum and the chest away from the knee, so separate the torso from the thigh. Right shoulder spirals forward and around, hands behind the back, grabbing the strap if you need to, like a little lasso, or holding on the fingers, nice easy bind. Again, inhale and exhale, fold. Remember, don't go too far forward. Let yourself just pivot in through the hip joints as you lean through the inner body. If you want to stay there, you're good. Or if you're ready to try the full pose, come on up. Stretch out the right leg, left knee to the side, hold on to the left foot and the left knee, pick it up into the half lotus. Hold on to the shin bone and the foot, guide the instep of the left foot into the right hip crease. Then bend the right knee, draw it all the way in. Remember, if you need to go over and walk yourself back in. But if you can start off, I'll show you the way to get in just regular. So draw the belly in and just lean it forward. Keep yourself oriented forward and then lift your ribs over your foot. This will get you in a little bit deeper, but requires more flexibility. Then drop the right shoulder forward and around, guiding your hands towards each other. Inhale, exhale fingers, or hold the wrist if possible. Avoid straightening the arm because that'll twist you out, and instead suck the belly in and roll the shoulders forward. Then inhale and exhale, forehead down, or nose down, or chin down. Remember to keep pulling back behind the pubic bone, staying for a couple moments. Finding the inner body. Make sure your knee feels okay on the left side, but the left ankle could be quite intense. No problem. Keep practicing, and it does get better. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, release the bind before you come all the way up. Use your left hand, pick it up. Straighten out the left leg, and then move the left knee out to the side. Bring it up. Straighten the legs, and let's cross the feet. Nice and easy. All the way back. Inhale, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, come on forward to upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Let's look it forward and then just nice, easy, glide it forward and come on to seated. Okay, this was Marichasana A and B. We're halfway there. We've got 2 more Marichasana poses. These are quite challenging and they set you up for moving deeper into the twists. So now we'll set up twisting in through the inner body. All right. Come on forward again, starting off in the Dandasana position. Bend the right knee up into your body. And just like you were setting up for Marichasana A, keep that hand's distance between your foot and your thigh. Avoid keeping the knee joint too open or too much out to the side, because that destabilizes your pelvis. Your pelvis is your foundation in your twist, so draw the belly in. Orient your body slightly towards the knee and hug it in. Then, ground your sitting bones. You really feel both sitting bones rooted and pressed into the ground. Reach your right hand back behind you. And then inhale, lift the sternum. So you lift it up, avoid pooching back too much, and now lift it up, as much up as you possibly can. And as you lift up, start to orient over. So this is a lateral stretch, which means that your torso moves across the center line. So you aim your sternum on the complete opposite side of the right knee, while keeping your chest as close to your thigh as you can. Then pick it up, glide it over. Pick it up again, glide it over. Now you're ready for the twist. So drop the left shoulder down, aiming your fingertips towards the ground. Use your right fingertips to pick it up. Now, choose. You could stop here and still get all of the benefits, the internal cleansing of Marichasana C. This deep internal cleanse comes when the torso folds around the thigh. Only if you're comfortable. Look down at the left elbow. Make sure it passes the right shin, and then spiral the left elbow around the shin, and then slowly inhale, exhale, reaching around, seeing if your hands clasp around each other. Then you could look over your right shoulder. Stay in here for a couple breaths, and remember, you can always use the strap, so grab hold of the strap, and if it's not easy for you to take the bind, just reach it around like a little lasso and get those hands tied together. Hold it there for a couple breaths, let it go. So here are some things to watch out for in the Marichasanas. Watch out for twisting from the hips or hiking that hip up too much. If you hike the hip up too much, there'll be too deep of an internal rotation, and your supporting leg will start to flop out to the side. So stabilize your supporting leg and ground your sitting bones as much as possible. When you come out of the twist, release to the side, use your strength to come on back to the center, take a moment, and stretch out the legs. I'm going to show you this side from the other way so you can see the hands more clearly as they drop together. Drop the left knee into the body. So here we are. Take that moment as the left knee really moves into the body. Let that hand's distance be right in between. Then hold it in. Nice and steady, nice deep inhale. Now, the whole meat of the twist happens in the whole meat of your body. So you want to grab hold of your whole body and feel like you suck it in and move it over. It feels a little bit like, imagine that your pelvis is like a suitcase. So you have this suitcase and it's stuffed with like a lot of t-shirts because you went on vacation and you went crazy shopping. So then draw everything in and just pack those t-shirts over to the side. So you pack your body over to the side, pack the body over to the side, hug it in, draw the chest close to the thigh, and then remember, all the way over everything over, chest around the thigh. Then glide your right hand down, staying on your fingertips on both sides, looking over your left shoulder. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this enough? And if this is enough, no problem. Then, if you need to, wrap that arm around so you can get that full spiral. Inhale, exhale, bring the fingers towards each other, or if you need that strap, lasso your fingers into each other. But if you have the fingers, here's something that you can work on. Assuming that you're in the pose and you feel your right leg nice and stable, gliding yourself into the bind. If your bind is comfortable, let your fingers hold on to the inner thigh for an extra grip. Then draw the right shoulder forward and twist. So you're pulling your body in two different directions. With your hand and your pelvis, you're stabilizing. And with your torso and your right arm, you're twisting. So you lift the ribs away from the hips and spiral through the center line. Slowly come out as you release your fingers all the way back to the center and straighten out the legs. So this should really feel like something's going on in the empty space of the pelvis, like you're in there and you're doing laundry, you're wringing out the towel deep into the inner organs. All of the intestines, all of the digestive system is down there and it's getting cleansed. That is a really good thing, okay? Let's cross the feet and step back. Here we go to plank. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, let's come on forward to upward facing. Exhale, push it back to downward facing. Look forward. Inhale, come on forward and step down. Okay. One more pose, Marichasana D. This is the gateway pose of the Marichasana sequence. It is a test that feels a little bit like D-Day. Here you go, sending yourself off for an epic journey. Do not rush the process. I do not recommend that you bend your knee in the lotus bud for this one. Instead, simply work on the half lotus, or if you're not ready for the full half lotus, you can always repeat the one pose we just went over, the previous one, Marichasana C. Up to you, decide right now which one you'd like to try, and then file that away from this tutorial into your daily practice. So now, here we go, bringing the legs forward. Marichasana D can be one of the most confusing poses. Which side is actually first? To do the right side, start off with the left leg. Drop the left knee in, bring it to the side, bring it all the way in. Remember, I don't recommend that you do this pose modifying with the lotus bud. Just continue with Marichasana C if that's your option. Okay, check it out. Bring the heel into the body, shin bone in, and suck it in. Right knee into the body and all the way in. To prepare for this pose, come forward as though you're entering Marichasana B. Safest way is to get that sitting bone off the ground. You'll feel like your foot is crashing into your rib cage. So just pick it up and hug it in. Again, pick it up and hug it in. Make peace with it. Have that santosha moment. So feel for a moment a sense of peace, a sense of welcomeness, a sense of all is good. And then slowly check in with yourself. You may decide to stay hugging yourself in here. I recommend you stay hugging rather than up here thinking you're twisting, because the real benefit of the detox happens when your inner organs become flexible and you can hug your chest close to your thigh. So slowly move your chest over, and bring that left elbow down. Gauge yourself by seeing if your left elbow joint passes the plane of the shin. Drop the shoulder down and around, down and around, down and around. Then slowly and calmly check in and see if you're ready for the bind. Inhale and exhale, bring your fingers towards each other. This is all right if you want to grab the strap so you have something to hold on to, looking over the right shoulder. Be very conscious of closing as much space around your shoulder as possible, even if it takes you longer to set up. Do not reach this hand around until this arm that gets the wrapping around your shin is fully established. That's the hardest portion of the pose. Look over to the right, pause for a moment, allow yourself to breathe. You may feel like you're suffocating. Totally normal. Just make peace with that. You won't suffocate. I promise you won't die. It's just an uncomfortable pose that'll get comfortable if you do it every day for maybe 10 years or so. Release the fingers, come on back to the center. Ooh, stretch out the leg, other side, bring it back in, and now we're ready for the left side. Now, bend the right knee into the body, drop it to the side, hold the right knee and the right foot, and pick it up. The shin bone and the foot all the way up into the body. When you bring the foot in, it's useful to Suck the belly in as though you're making space. Then hold underneath the left knee, drop it all the way in. The key to entering Marichasana D is to get a good stable base. If you're back here and your knee's off the ground, you have no base. You gotta come all the way up and forward. So you lift that left hip a little bit off the ground, and now you'll feel that your lower ribs on the left side are touching your right foot. Do not crash your ribs into the foot, but instead lift. So lift the ribs up and over and give yourself a hug. So you feel like, ooh, that foot, that's kind of up there in my personal space, you know? And you think, I don't know if I really like my foot up in my torso. No problem. Yoga is santosha. So you say, okay, it's okay. My foot is in my pelvis. That's all right. I'm going to be okay with that right now. And you practice being at peace with that. So the next time an annoying situation happens in your life, you just remember, well, you know what? I'm okay with my foot in my pelvis, so I can be okay with this too. Then suck the belly in and pivot it over, hug it in. So many of you practicing this will not go further than the state of santosha simply from hugging it in. But once you reach a deep state of acceptance and your foot is no longer an enemy into the inner space of the pelvis, then you can move into Marichasana D. Safest Marichasana D is going to have that hip off the ground and over, slowly inch it over. So your torso has to move over to the other side. Look down and see if your elbow passes the plane of the shin. Widen the collarbone, so broaden the collarbone. Guide down through the internal rotation. Help yourself out. And then inhale, exhale, hands together. Gently guide the fingers towards each other. Again, you can use the strap if necessary, so holding on to the strap, all right? The key to Marichasana D is that first portion of the bind, so you can look over. Now, if your knee is not on the ground, like mine isn't fully down right now, but your upper thigh is down, that's completely acceptable. Gently release the fingers, hands out to the side, pick it all the way up, dropping the hip down, slowly forward, all the way down. Knee up to the center and down. So that was quite a journey. There was all sorts of stuff going on in the empty space of the pelvic bowl. So we want to find out how to really, again, enter the inner body. Okay, come on all the way back in and cross your feet. Step back, inhale, exhale, down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing, exhale, downward facing. Look forward and guide it forward. Come on to seated. Pausing for a moment and just take a moment, tune in. Congratulate yourself for making it this far in the practice. This is difficult. I know just how hard this is. Take your time, work step by step, like you're building up the foundation, the bricks of a building. That building is the whole framework of your spiritual practice. Let your spirit shine and let yourself learn the lessons. Never rush or force the body. Practice with patience and humility. We're going to end today's class with an Om, so close your eyes. Om. Keep the seed of faith, courage, and inspiration close at heart, and let the Marichasanas open you up to the spiritual journey of the Ashtanga Yoga method. Thank you so much for letting me be your guide. Enjoy your practice. Namaste.